Hello everyone, my name is Hafiz Nurul Fadilah from class 6A. Today I would like to present my research proposal entitled Strategies Used by EFL Students to Overcome the Difficulties in Writing Coherent Paragraphs, a qualitative study. I appreciate this opportunity and I hope to receive valuable feedback to improve my research. Now, I would like to begin my presentation. Let's begin with the background of this study. Writing is considered one of the most challenging skills in EFL. To produce good writing, students need not only correct grammar and vocabulary, but also the ability to organize their ideas logically. One important aspect of writing is paragraph coherence, which refers to the logical flow of ideas from one sentence to another. Although many students are able to write grammatically correct sentences, they often struggle to connect those sentences into a coherent paragraphs. As a result, their writing becomes difficult for readers to understand. These difficulties may be caused by several factors, such as limited vocabulary, first language interference, insufficient idea development, and classroom instruction that focuses more on grammar than on organizing ideas. In addition, many previous studies have mainly focused on identifying writing errors or measuring the effectiveness of teaching techniques through quantitative approach. However, only a few studies have explored students' own experiences and the strategies they use to overcome these difficulties. Therefore, this study aims to explore both the challenges students face and the strategies they use to produce coherent paragraphs through a qualitative approach. Moving on to the next slide is research problems. Based on the background, this study addresses two research problem questions. First, what difficulties do EFL students face in writing coherent paragraphs? And the second is, what strategies do EFL students use to overcome these difficulties? These questions guide the entire research process. Next slide, objectives of the study. In line with the research problems, this study has two objectives. First, to identify the difficulties experienced by EFL students in writing coherent paragraphs. Second, to explore the strategies students use to overcome those difficulties. Okay, next slide is review of previous studies. I reviewed 5 previous studies related to paragraph coherence. Alzariera and Yunus, 2025, found that many EFL students struggle to maintain logical connections between ideas. Anshu and Yusuf, 2022, reported that collaborative writing significantly improves paragraph coherence. Khatri and Hatka, 2025, showed that students actively use strategies such as outlining and self-correction while writing. Priskina and Adani found that students often have difficulty developing supporting ideas within a paragraph. Finally, Sakir et al. Identified several strategies used by students, including reading model text, seeking feedback, and using transition words. These studies provide a strong foundation for my research. Moving on to the next slide, research gap. Although previous studies have contributed valuable findings, several gaps still remain. Most studies focus on identifying writing problems or evaluating teaching methods using quantitative approaches. Very few studies explore students' personal experience and strategies through qualitative research, especially among senior high school EFL learners. Therefore, my study seeks to fill this gap by investigating students' real experiences and strategies they use to overcome the difficulties in writing coherent paragraphs. Next slide is theoretical framework. This slide illustrates the conceptual framework of my study. Students begin with the task of writing paragraphs. During the writing process, they encounter various difficulties, such as limited vocabulary, grammar problems, poor idea development, and weak logical organization. To overcome these difficulties, students apply different strategies, including outlining or drafting, reading model text, asking for peer feedback, self-monitoring, and using translation tools. These strategies are expected to help students improve the coherence of their paragraphs. This framework guides the data collection and analysis in my study. Next slide, research method. This study employs a qualitative approach because it aims to understand students' experiences in depth. The research is descriptive qualitative in nature and uses a case study design. The participants will be 30 students of 11th grade selected through purposive sampling. These students have already learned paragraph writing and represent different levels of writing proficiency. Next slide, research instruments. To collect the data, I will use two research instruments. First is a semi-structured interview guide, which will explore students' perceptions, writing difficulties, and strategies. The second is a writing document analysis checklist, which will be used to examine students' paragraph based on indicators such as topic sentences, unity, coherence, thematic progression, and cohesive devices. Using these two instruments allows me to compare what students say with what they actually produce in their writing. Next slide, data collection. The data collection process consists of four stages. First, I will obtain permission from the school and inform consent from the participants. Second, students will complete a paragraph writing task. Third, I will collect and analyze their written work to identify coherence issues. And finally, I will conduct semi-structured interviews to better understand their writing experiences and the strategies they use. Moving on to the next slide, data analysis. The collected data will be analyzed using Brown and Clark's six-step thematic analysis. These steps include familiarizing myself with the data, generating codes, searching themes, reviewing themes, defining and naming themes, and finally, writing the research report. To ensure the credibility of the findings, this study will use methodological triangulation by comparing interview data with students' written documents. Next slide is references. These are the main references that support my study, including previous studies on paragraph coherence and qualitative research. Okay, and next slide is the appendixes. There are two instrument appendices that I use for this study. For Appendix A is the interview guide. Okay. And for Appendix B is the writing analysis checklist. Alright, I think that's all. Thank you for your attention. Have a good day and see you next time.